Welcome back, and thank you for tuning in to Midnight Affairs Tales. We appreciate every single one of you. We'd love to know what part of the world you are watching from right now. Let us know in the comments. Now, let's dive into today's story, Chapter 1. The sizzle of ribs on the grill filled the air, thick with smoke and laughter. Adam Johnson stood by the barbecue, tongs in hand, flipping burgers and ribs with practiced ease. The sun was setting over the Georgia hills, painting the sky a dusky orange. Family laughter drifted on the warm breeze. Cousins playing tag, Bill's booming voice telling a joke, Megan's soft giggle that once melted Adam's heart. Then it happened. Bill raised his glass, the ice clinking in his bourbon. "Let us toast to the man who has been making Megan so very happy," he said, his voice loud enough for everyone to hear. Cheers erupted, but Adam's blood turned to ice. He turned his head, slow as a nightmare unfolding. Luke was there. Luke, with his broad smile and easy charm, raising his glass alongside everyone else. Megan's eyes darted to Adam for a split second, then back to Luke. That fleeting glance told Adam everything. The laughter felt like knives in his gut. He forced a smile, tongs still in hand, but his mind was racing. Who is Bill talking about? Why the hell is Luke here again? And why does Megan look like she wants to vanish? "Cheers," Luke said, his voice syrupy smooth. "To good friends and family." His eyes lingered on Megan. She blushed, turning her face away. Adam's daughter, Bella, tugged at his sleeve. Her little voice cut through the noise. "Daddy, why did Grandpa say that man is Mommy's special friend?" Tears welled up in her eyes. Adam crouched down, his heart breaking in real time. "What did you hear, sweetie?" She sniffled, her small hand gripping his arm. "Mommy was hugging him last night when you were asleep." Her voice was a dagger. Adam's breath caught in his throat. The barbecue smoke burned his eyes, but he could not tear them away from Megan, who was now avoiding his gaze entirely. He straightened up, every muscle in his body taut. The party carried on around him, oblivious. But inside, Adam was already at war. He replayed every late night, every excuse, every time Megan claimed to be just working late. For a moment, time slowed. The sun dipped behind the trees, the laughter echoing hollow in his ears. Adam's hand gripped the tongs so hard his knuckles turned white. He knew, in that instant, that everything he thought he knew about his wife, about his family, was a lie, and he would not let it stand. Wait, if this story gave you chills or made you think twice about trust, don't just scroll away. Hit that like button to support the channel, and subscribe if you never want to miss another jaw-dropping tale. We drop new stories every week that'll leave you speechless. To everyone who's already subscribed, sending you heartfelt love and thanks. Join the family, because here, every story hits different. Now, let's dive back into the story. The party dragged on, but Adam was no longer part of it. He watched everything through a haze, every laugh and smile feeling like a slap to his face. Megan moved through the crowd with that same perfect, practiced grace she always had. But now, every time she smiled, Adam saw the truth lurking in the corners of her lips. Luke was never far behind her, always close enough to brush her shoulder, to murmur in her ear when he thought no one was looking. But Adam was looking. Adam saw everything. Bella clung to his leg, her wide eyes flicking between her mother and the man who was not supposed to be there. Adam knelt down and kissed her forehead. "Go play with your cousins, baby," he whispered. She hesitated, then ran off to join the other kids. Adam's heart was a storm. He had to know, had to see it for himself. So he followed Megan into the kitchen when she slipped away to grab more drinks. He stood in the doorway, half hidden by the hanging pots. There they were, Megan and Luke, their heads close, voices low. He could not hear every word, but he saw everything he needed to. Her hand brushed against Luke's chest. He leaned in, his lips dangerously close to her ear. She laughed, that soft, intimate laugh Adam had not heard in months. "You should not be here," she said, her voice trembling. "Adam, he will figure it out." Luke's grin was shark-like. Let him. He is just a speed bump, baby. You and me, we are the real thing. Adam's vision went red. He stumbled back, his breath ragged, hands shaking. He wanted to storm in, to drag Luke out by his smug grin and tear the truth from Megan's lips. But he held himself back. Not here. Not yet. Instead, he turned and walked back outside, his mind already racing with questions. How long? How deep? Was this just an affair, or something more sinister? As the sky darkened and the party wound down, Adam's resolve hardened. He would not be the man who got played. He would find the truth, every last detail. And when he did, he would make them pay. The next morning, Adam woke before dawn, his mind still replaying every detail of that cursed barbecue. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling as Megan slept beside him, her breathing slow and even. He wanted to believe she was still his wife, still the woman he had loved since college. But that soft laugh with Luke, the way her eyes darted away from his, the tears in Bella's eyes, it all screamed the same bitter truth. He got up quietly, slipping out of bed and into the living room. His fingers drummed on the counter as he tried to steady his thoughts. He had to know, no more guesses or half-truths. He began to search. In the junk drawer, he found it, a birthday card. Innocent on the outside, but inside, everything changed. The handwriting was unmistakable, Luke's arrogant scrawl. To the woman who changed my world, it read, I can't wait for the day when it's just us. Love, Luke. Adam's hand trembled as he held it. Every word felt like a slap. He read it again, each line another nail in the coffin of his marriage. A noise behind him. Megan, standing in the doorway, her face pale. What are you doing? She asked, her voice small, but Adam heard the crack in it. He turned slowly, holding the card out like a weapon. You tell me, he said, his voice cold, steady. What is this? What the hell is going on, Megan? She opened her mouth, then closed it again. Tears welled in her eyes. Adam, it's not what you think. He laughed, but it was a hollow, broken sound. Not what I think. Then tell me what it is, because this card sure as hell doesn't sound like friendship. She took a step toward him, but he held up a hand. Do not come any closer if you're just going to lie to me. Megan's shoulders sagged. I never meant for this to happen, she whispered. But Luke, he made me feel alive again. Like I mattered. Adam's jaw tightened. And what about me, Megan? What about our daughter? She wiped her tears, but her hands shook. I don't know anymore. Adam felt something break inside him then, a quiet snap, like a branch in winter. He turned away from her, clutching the card in his fist. This isn't over, he said quietly. I will find out everything. And when I do, you will see just how much you have thrown away. The sun was just beginning to set again, painting the backyard in deep golds and reds. Adam could not eat, could not sleep. The birthday card burned in his pocket like a live wire. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Megan's haunted face, heard her whisper, He made me feel alive again. The words looped in his mind, cutting deeper with every pass. He needed to see it with his own eyes. No more guessing, no more half-truths. That evening, after dinner, Adam pretended to be reading in the living room. Megan moved around the house like a ghost, avoiding his gaze. Bella played with her dolls on the floor, her small voice a bright spot in the gloom. When Megan stepped outside for some air, Adam waited a beat before following. He slipped through the kitchen door, keeping to the shadows. In the backyard, Megan stood under the old oak tree, her arms crossed tight over her chest. A moment later, Luke appeared from the side gate. Adam's heart thundered in his ears. Luke cupped Megan's face, his voice low and intimate. I told you, baby, it is going to be all right. We are almost there. Just a little more patience. Megan shook her head, her voice breaking. Adam knows. He found the card. I cannot lie to him anymore. Luke's smirk did not falter. Let him think what he wants. We are too close to stop now. You want out of this boring life, right? You want the house, the money, all of it. Megan hesitated, tears slipping down her cheeks. I never meant for this to happen like this. Luke laughed, low and cruel. It is the only way it was ever going to happen. Adam's breath came in ragged gasps. He pressed himself against the wall of the house, every word carving into his chest. The final confirmation was there. Megan was not just a willing participant. She was tangled up in something so much worse. He felt his anger solidify into something cold, something that would not break. As Luke leaned in and kissed her softly, Adam turned away, his fists clenched. He knew then that this was not just about an affair. It was a conspiracy to tear his life apart. But they had underestimated him. He would not let them win. The next day was a blur of forced smiles and hollow conversations. Megan tried to pretend everything was normal, cooking breakfast as if their world had not just shattered. Adam watched her, his face calm, but inside he was already making plans. He drove Bella to school, her small hand in his. She was quiet, her big eyes troubled. When they pulled up to the curb, she hesitated before unbuckling her seatbelt. "Daddy," she said softly. Adam turned to her, his voice gentle. "What is it, baby?" She looked down at her sneakers, then back up at him. "I saw Mommy with that man again. The man with the funny smile." Adam swallowed hard. "When, Bella?" "Last night," she whispered. "When I was getting a glass of water." He was holding her and telling her things. Mommy was crying. Adam closed his eyes for a moment, steadying himself. "Thank you for telling me, sweetheart. You are so brave." Bella's lip trembled. "Am I in trouble for telling you?" He pulled her into his arms, holding her close. "No, never. You did the right thing. Always tell me the truth, no matter how scary it feels." She nodded, her small arms tight around his neck. Adam kissed the top of her head, the weight of her words pressing down on him. After she went inside, he sat in the car, staring at the dashboard. Bella's honesty gave him the final push. He could not just confront Megan in anger and heartbreak. He needed to know everything, every dark corner of her betrayal. He would dig it all up, piece by piece. And when he was done, there would be no place left for Megan and Luke to hide. That night, Adam lay awake long after the house fell silent. Megan slept beside him, her breathing deep and steady, as if nothing had happened. He stared at the ceiling, listening to the whispers of the past few days. He slipped out of bed, careful not to wake her, and padded to the living room. He opened the junk drawer again, sifting through old receipts and keys, until he found what he was looking for, her phone, the second one she thought he did not know about. He stared at it, his heart pounding. Then he powered it on. The messages were there, dozens of them. Luke's voice in every line. "You looked so beautiful last night. He does not deserve you. Soon it will be just us, baby." Adam read every word, his hands cold and steady. Each message was another piece of the puzzle, another crack in the illusion of their life. He copied them all, sent them to his private email. Evidence. Proof. He would not confront her yet. He would gather it all, every last thread of her betrayal, and then he would show her exactly what she had done. But there was more. As he scrolled, he found something that made his blood run cold. A bank statement. A transfer of money from Bill's account to an unknown company. Luke's name was in the notes. Consulting fees. Adam's breath came in short, sharp gasps. This was not just an affair, it was a heist. A betrayal that went beyond love, beyond lust. It was a theft of trust, of family, of everything they had built together. He powered off the phone, slipping it back into the drawer. As he stood there in the dark, he made himself a promise. He would not stop until he had the whole truth. And when he did, he would burn their world to the ground, piece by piece. Adam drove home from work in a haze of questions and plans. The dashboard lights blurred together, each flickering number another reminder of how everything had changed. The Georgia dusk had settled in, the road bathed in a soft amber glow. But all Adam saw was the truth, burning in his mind. He gripped the steering wheel tight, his knuckles white. Every mile felt like a lifetime. His thoughts tangled around the image of Megan's secret phone, the birthday card, Bella's tearful confession. He wondered how long it had been going on. How many nights had he lain beside her, trusting her smile, while she whispered promises to Luke. The car was silent except for the steady hum of the tires. Adam's phone buzzed on the seat beside him. It was a message from Megan. Dinner at 7. Bella wants your favorite tonight. He stared at the screen, the words a bitter mockery. He wondered if she had written them with shaking hands, if she was rehearsing her lies even now. He tapped the phone off, setting it down without responding. As he pulled into the driveway, the house glowed with warm light. Perfect, welcoming, a place that used to feel like home. Adam sat in the car for a moment, his hands resting on the wheel, breathing in the calm before the storm. Inside, Megan was setting the table, her smile soft and practiced. You are home late, she said. Long day. Adam nodded, his face unreadable. Yeah, long day. His voice was calm, but inside he was a storm. He watched her move around the kitchen, noting every detail. How she tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, how her eyes darted to him and away, as if she could feel the weight of his knowing stare. Bella ran up to him, her small arms wrapping around his waist. Daddy, I drew you a picture, she said, her voice bright and hopeful. Adam knelt down, taking the drawing from her hands. A family, hand in hand, him, Bella, and Megan. But in the corner, a shadowy figure with a crooked smile. Luke. Even in her innocence, Bella saw the truth. Adam looked at Megan over Bella's shoulder, his jaw set. It is beautiful, he said softly. But his eyes told her everything. He was done pretending. Later that night, Adam lay in bed, the house wrapped in heavy silence. He could hear Megan's breathing, steady and slow beside him. But he could not sleep, not with Luke's smirk burned into his mind. Earlier that evening, Adam had driven to the hardware store to clear his head. He had needed air, needed distance from the lies. But fate had a cruel sense of humor. As he walked out of the store, he saw Luke leaning against his expensive car in the parking lot, phone pressed to his ear. Luke's grin when he saw Adam was like poison. Hey there, big guy, he said, slipping his phone into his pocket. Fancy seeing you here. Adam's fists clenched at his sides. Luke, he said evenly, his voice a low growl. Luke chuckled, pushing off the car. You look tense, Adam. Everything all right at home. Adam's jaw worked, but he held back. What do you want, Luke? Luke stepped closer, his voice dropping. I just want to make sure we are on the same page. Megan and I, it is complicated. You should know that. She is not as innocent as you think. Adam's eyes narrowed, fury simmering in his gut. I know exactly who she is. And I know exactly who you are. Luke's smirk widened. Do you? Because from where I am standing, you are just the man holding her back. Adam took a slow breath, his heart pounding. You think you are winning, Luke. But I promise you, this is far from over. Luke laughed, the sound cold and hollow. We will see, Adam. We will see. He slid back into his car and drove away, leaving Adam standing there in the fading light. Adam watched the taillights disappear into the night, his chest heaving with controlled rage. When he got home, Megan was already asleep, her face turned away. Adam lay beside her, his eyes open to the dark. He knew now, Luke was not just a lover. He was a predator, a man who thrived on stealing what was not his. Adam promised himself one thing. He would not let Luke take anything more. The next morning, the chill in the bedroom was more than just the crisp autumn air creeping through the open window. Megan lay curled up on her side, her back to Adam, as if the space between them was a canyon that could never be crossed. Adam watched the early light filter through the curtains, the soft glow that used to feel like home. But now it felt like an interrogation lamp, exposing every secret, every lie. He rose quietly, slipping from the bed and pulling on his jeans. Megan stirred, turning to face him. Her eyes were shadowed, her smile forced. You are up early, she murmured. Adam looked at her, his face calm but his eyes cold. I could not sleep. Megan sat up, the sheet clutched to her chest. Adam, we need to talk about this. He tilted his head slightly. About what, Megan? About your friend Luke? About the money he is stealing from your father? Her eyes widened, panic flickering across her face. What are you talking about? Adam took a step closer, his voice low and even. I know everything. The texts, the money, the nights you thought I would not notice. Megan's lips parted, but no words came. She looked away, her shoulders slumping. Adam, I never wanted this to happen. He stared at her, the anger inside him a controlled burn. You let it happen, Megan. You let him in. Into our home, our lives, our daughter's world. Tears slipped down her cheeks, but Adam felt nothing. I thought I needed him, she whispered. Adam shook his head. No, what you needed was honesty. What you needed was me. He turned away, his shoulders stiff. The bed behind him was cold, a monument to the distance between them. He did not look back as he walked out of the room, the door clicking shut behind him. Adam's day was a blur of polite nods and forced conversations. At work, he stared blankly at his computer screen, his mind elsewhere. He thought of the birthday card, of Bella's innocent questions, of Luke's arrogant smirk. But most of all, he thought of the bank statement he had found on Megan's phone. When he got home, he went straight to his home office, shutting the door behind him. He sat at his desk, pulling up their joint accounts on his laptop. His fingers moved quickly over the keys, his eyes scanning every line, every transfer. It was all there. Payments to a shell company registered in Luke's name. Small amounts at first, $500, $1,000, then larger sums. A pattern of theft, hidden behind sweet words and careful lies. Adam's jaw tightened as he leaned back in his chair, the truth staring him in the face. This was not just infidelity. It was betrayal of the worst kind, a calculated siphoning of his family's security. Megan had given Luke the keys to everything. He printed out every statement, every suspicious transaction. The sound of the printer filled the quiet room like a metronome, each sheet a nail in the coffin of their marriage. He stacked the papers neatly, his resolve hardening with every page. He would not confront her yet. No, he needed to know the full extent of the damage. He needed to see how far this rot had spread. Because if Megan was willing to hand over their future, what else was she hiding? When he stepped out of the office, Megan was in the kitchen, stirring a pot on the stove. She looked up, her eyes searching his face. Everything all right? She asked. Adam forced a smile, his voice calm. Fine. Just work. She smiled back, but there was a flicker of unease in her eyes. Adam held her gaze for a moment, then turned away, the weight of the truth heavy in his chest. He would find every secret she thought she could bury, and when he was done, there would be nowhere left for her to hide. Chapter 11. Dinner with a stranger. Dinner that night was a silent performance. Bella chattered about her day at school, her bright voice filling the room. Megan nodded and smiled, playing the part of the doting mother. Adam sat across from her, his eyes fixed on every detail. Megan looked tired. Her hair was pulled back, her makeup carefully done, but her smile never reached her eyes. She kept glancing at him, her fingers tapping nervously against her wine glass. Daddy, guess what we did in class today? Bella said, beaming. Adam forced a smile. What is that, sweetheart? We made family trees, Bella said proudly. I put you and Mommy and me at the top. Megan's smile faltered, her eyes flicking to Adam. That is wonderful, baby, she said softly. Adam's voice was steady. It is perfect, Bella. You are the best part of this family. Megan's fingers stilled. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. The silence stretched between them, heavy and suffocating. After dinner, Megan washed the dishes while Adam dried them, the simple routine feeling like a cruel joke. She looked up at him once, her eyes pleading. Adam, can we talk? He paused, the dish towel in his hand. About what? She swallowed hard. About us. About everything. Adam's voice was low, measured. I think we both know what there is to say, Megan. Tears welled in her eyes. Please, Adam. I never wanted to hurt you. He set the towel down, his jaw tight. You did, Megan. You chose to. Again and again. She reached for him, but he stepped back, the space between them cold and final. I need some air, he said, his voice calm. We can talk later. He walked out into the night, the cool air biting at his skin. The sky was endless above him, stars scattered like shards of glass. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her lies pressing down on him. He would talk when he was ready, not when she was. And when that time came, there would be no more hiding. The next day, Adam took a long lunch break and drove across town to Bill's house. The old man was sitting on the porch, a blanket across his knees despite the warm afternoon sun. His eyes lit up when he saw Adam, though there was a tiredness there too, a weight Adam recognized all too well. Adam, Bill said, his voice gravelly. You look like you have seen a ghost. Adam sat down across from him, his expression serious. Bill, there is something I need to show you. Bill's brows drew together. What is it, son? Adam took a deep breath and handed him the printed statements. These are transfers from your retirement account, Bill. Transfers made to a company that Luke owns. Bill's hands trembled as he took the papers, his eyes scanning the lines. What is this? He whispered. It is a shell company, Bill. Luke has been siphoning money from you, using Megan to cover his tracks. Bill's face went pale, the color draining from his cheeks. That son of a bitch, he said softly. I trusted him. I thought he was family. Adam's voice was quiet, but firm. I know, but you need to see the truth, Bill. This is not just an affair. This is theft. It is a betrayal of everything we have built. Bill closed his eyes, his shoulders slumping. I do not know what to say. Adam reached out, his hand resting on the old man's arm. We are going to fix this, Bill. But I need you to trust me now. I need you to let me help. Bill opened his eyes, tears glistening. I trust you, Adam, more than anyone. Adam nodded, a quiet determination in his chest. Then we will end this. Together. As he left Bill's house, Adam felt a cold clarity settle over him. This was bigger than just a marriage. It was about family, about trust, about right and wrong. And he would not let Luke or Megan or anyone else tear that apart. Adam was deep in thought that evening, his mind racing through every dark corner of the betrayal he had uncovered. He was so focused that he did not hear the soft knock at the front door until it came again, louder this time, jolting him from his thoughts. He opened the door to find Carly, Megan's best friend, standing there. Her hair was windblown, her eyes wide and restless. She stepped inside without waiting for an invitation, her voice low and urgent. Adam, she said, glancing over her shoulder as if she expected to be followed. We need to talk. Adam crossed his arms, his expression hard. About what, Carly? She hesitated, then met his gaze. About Megan. About Luke. About all of it. He motioned for her to sit, his pulse quickening. Go on, he said quietly. Carly sank into the couch, wringing her hands together. I never wanted to be part of this. I swear. But Megan, she told me things. Things I should have stopped. Adam's voice was calm, but there was a dangerous edge beneath it. What things? Carly's eyes welled with tears. She said Luke had a plan. Not just for her, but for your family. For Bill. She told me it was just a fling at first, but then it became about money. About taking everything. Adam's jaw tightened. And you knew. You said nothing. I thought she would stop, Carly said, her voice cracking. I thought she would come to her senses. But she did not. And Luke, he threatened me, Adam. He said if I told anyone, he would ruin me too. Adam leaned forward, his eyes locked on hers. Why now, Carly? Why tell me this now? She swallowed hard. Because I see what it is doing to you. To Bella. And because I cannot keep the secret anymore. I cannot live with it. For a long moment, Adam just stared at her. Then he stood, his face like stone. Thank you for telling me. But this does not end here, Carly. It is time for everyone to face the truth. The next morning, Adam met Bill at a small diner just outside of town. The place smelled of burnt coffee and fried eggs, but the familiar comfort did nothing to ease the tension in the air. Bill sat across from him, hunched and tired, the weight of betrayal etched deep into his weathered face. "I cannot believe it," Bill muttered, staring down at the black coffee in his hands. "My own daughter, my own blood." Adam's voice was quiet but firm. "She made her choices, Bill, but we are not going to let them win." Bill looked up, his eyes bloodshot. "I trusted Luke. He was like a son to me. I let him into my home, into my family, and he repaid me like this." Adam leaned forward, his voice low and steady. "We are going to expose him. The bank records, the fake companies, it is all there. But we need to be smart. We need to make sure it all comes crashing down at once." Bill's jaw worked as he nodded slowly. "I want him to feel what he has done. I want Megan to see what she has thrown away." Adam's eyes were cold, his voice like steel. "She will. They both will." They talked strategy, piecing together every detail they had, every transfer, every whispered promise. Bill's anger grew with every revelation, but it was a quiet, seething rage. Not the fury of a man who wanted to lash out, but the cold determination of someone who had been pushed too far. As they left the diner, Adam could see the fire in Bill's eyes. "He thinks he can steal from me, from my family," Bill said, his voice low and deadly. "But he has no idea who he is dealing with." Adam put a hand on his shoulder. "We are going to make sure he learns, Bill. And when it is over, there will be nothing left for him to take." They parted ways with a nod, two men united by betrayal, bound by the same quiet fury. Adam knew then that this was no longer just about Megan's affair. It was about something bigger, and it would end with Luke's empire in ruins. That evening, Adam sat alone in his office, the only light the glow of his laptop. He had spread out all the evidence in front of him: emails, bank statements, screenshots of Megan's messages to Luke. It was a paper trail of lies and greed, the blueprint of how they had tried to hollow out his life from the inside. The sound of the front door opening pulled him from his thoughts. Megan's voice drifted in from the hallway, soft and cautious. "Adam," she called. He took a slow breath, steadying himself. "In here," he said. She stepped into the room, her face pale. She looked at the papers spread across the desk, her hands twisting together. What is all this?" Adam's eyes were cold as he met her gaze. "Everything you thought I would never see." Megan's lips trembled. "Adam, I can explain." He cut her off, his voice flat. "No more explanations. No more lies." She took a step forward, tears spilling over. "I never wanted it to go this far. I thought Luke loved me." Adam's jaw tightened. "He does not love you, Megan. He never did. He used you, and you let him." Megan sank into the chair across from him, her shoulders shaking. "What are you going to do?" Adam looked at her, his face like stone. "I am going to end this. I am going to expose everything, him, you, all of it. And when it is done, there will be nothing left of the life you tried to build on our ruins." For a moment, Megan just stared at him, her tears silent. Then she whispered, "I am so sorry, Adam." He turned away, his voice quiet but final. "It is too late for sorry, Megan. It is time for the truth." As she left the room, Adam felt the weight of everything settle over him. The storm was coming. He could feel it in the electric air, in the pounding of his own heart. But he was ready, and when the storm broke, he would be the last one standing. Adam knew he needed more than just numbers and screenshots. He needed someone who could turn this mountain of evidence into a weapon. So he made a call that evening to someone he had never thought he would need, an old college friend, Mark, now a lawyer known for exposing white-collar crime. They met in the back room of a quiet bar, the kind of place where secrets were safer than confessions. Mark leaned back in the booth, his sharp eyes scanning the stack of papers Adam laid out. "Jesus, Adam," he said, shaking his head. "This is not just an affair. This is fraud, embezzlement. If this is all real, and I have no doubt it is, Luke could be looking at serious prison time." Adam's voice was low, his face hard. I want him to pay for every cent he stole. And I want Megan to see exactly what she let happen. Mark nodded slowly, flipping through the documents. I can take this to the DA's office. But you need to be ready. Once this goes public, it will be war. Luke has friends in high places. He will not go down without a fight. Adam's jaw tightened. Let him try? I will not back down. Mark looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. All right. Let me work my contacts. We will make sure he does not slip through the cracks. As they left the bar, the autumn air was crisp, the city's lights glittering like distant stars. Adam walked with purpose, every step fueled by the quiet fury that had taken root in his chest. He knew what was coming, a storm of lawyers, lies, and desperate last-ditch moves from Luke and his allies. But he also knew that he was ready, because this was no longer just about revenge. This was about showing his daughter, his family, and himself that he would not be broken. And as he drove home, the papers on the passenger seat beside him, Adam felt something he had not felt in weeks, a glimmer of hope. The next morning, Adam woke early, the weight of the previous night's meeting settling in his chest. The sun had barely crested the horizon when he sat down at the kitchen table, a steaming cup of coffee in his hand. Megan had not come home the night before. He did not know where she had gone, and for once, he did not care. His phone buzzed, a message from Mark. Meet me at the office. I have something you need to see. Adam left Bella with his sister, promising her ice cream when he got back. Then he drove across town, the quiet roads a perfect canvas for the storm brewing inside him. Mark's office was small but sharp, the air thick with the smell of old paper and new ink. Mark greeted him with a nod, his expression serious. I dug deeper, he said. Luke's company, if you can call it that, it is just a shell. But there is more. He has been using your family name to secure loans. Loans he has no intention of repaying. Adam's eyes narrowed. He has been using my name? Mark nodded grimly. Bill's retirement fund, the house as collateral, it is all tied up in fake projects. If this goes bad, and it will, Bill could lose everything. Adam felt his hands curl into fists. How long do we have before this blows up? Not long, Mark said. But we have a chance to get ahead of it. If we can prove Luke's fraud, the banks will freeze his assets. And if they see you are cooperating, they will protect your family's home. Adam took a deep breath, the weight of it all pressing down on him. What do you need from me? Mark's voice was steady. Everything. Every text, every email, every conversation you remember. I will handle the legal side, but you have to keep your head clear. They will come for you next. Adam met his friend's gaze, a quiet fire in his eyes. Let them come. I am done being the victim. That evening, Adam sat alone in the living room, the low hum of the dishwasher the only sound in the house. He had spent hours combing through old files, every detail of his life with Megan laid bare. He felt like a surgeon dissecting a tumor, cold, methodical, cutting out every piece of her betrayal. The front door creaked open. Megan walked in, her eyes red, her shoulders slumped. She looked at him like a woman drowning. Adam, she whispered, we need to talk. He leaned back in his chair, his face unreadable. Go ahead. She swallowed, her hands twisting together. I know you are done with me, but you need to understand. Luke is dangerous. He is not going to stop. He is already planning something bigger, something worse. Adam's eyes narrowed, his voice calm. What does that mean, Megan? She shivered. He told me if I did not help him get to Bill's money, he would ruin me. He said he would expose everything I have done. Adam's voice was quiet, but it cut like a blade. He does not have to expose it, Megan. You already did. She flinched, tears streaming down her face. I never wanted this. I was scared. I thought he would protect me. Adam stood slowly, his presence towering over her. You thought wrong. And now you are going to tell me everything. Every lie, every secret. Because if you do not, I will make sure he takes the fall alone. And I will make sure you are left with nothing. For a moment, Megan just stared at him, her lips trembling. Then she nodded, her voice a broken whisper. I will tell you everything. Adam watched her, his heart cold and resolute. The final pieces were falling into place. And soon, the whole rotten house of lies would come crashing down. Megan's voice shook as she began to speak, her words tumbling out in a broken stream. It started last year, she said, her eyes fixed on the floor. Luke showed up at one of Bill's events. He was charming, always talking about investment opportunities, about building something big. Bill trusted him. He wanted to leave a legacy for Bella. Adam listened, his face calm, but his eyes sharp, catching every detail. And you believed him too, he said, his voice low. Megan nodded miserably. At first, it was just talk. But then he started asking for money, small amounts, easy to hide. I thought I was helping Bill. But then Luke turned it on me. He said he loved me, that we could have everything if I helped him. Adam's jaw tightened. And you believed him. I wanted to, she whispered, tears slipping down her cheeks. I was so tired of feeling invisible. He made me feel wanted, important. Adam closed his eyes for a moment, steadying the storm inside him. What about now, Megan? Do you still think he loves you? She looked up, her eyes hollow. No, I know now. He used me, used all of us. And now he is threatening me. He says if I do not get him the rest of the money, he will destroy everything. Adam's voice was like steel. He already has. Megan flinched, her shoulders slumping. I will tell you everything, Adam. Every account, every password. I will help you stop him. For a long moment, Adam was silent, his eyes locked on hers. Then he nodded slowly. Good. Because this ends now, Megan. No more lies. No more chances. She nodded, her face pale. I swear. I will do whatever it takes. Adam turned away, his mind already racing. He had the truth now, straight from her lips. And with it, he would tear down everything Luke had built. For the next few days, Adam and Megan worked side by side, an uneasy truce forged from desperation and shared purpose. Megan provided every password, every secret she had buried in the shadows. Adam compiled it all, building a map of Luke's treachery piece by piece. They worked late into the night, the dining room table buried under stacks of papers and Megan's scribbled notes. Megan's hands shook as she wrote down names, dates, connections she had tried to forget. Adam watched her carefully, his expression unreadable. Do not hold anything back, Megan, he said. I need everything. She nodded, her eyes puffy and red. I am trying, Adam. I swear I am. As they pieced together Luke's web of deceit, Adam began to see the bigger picture. It was not just about Megan or Bill. It was about everyone Luke had touched. Friends of the family, old colleagues, even the local bank manager who had quietly approved the shady loans. Late one night, Megan pushed a piece of paper across the table. This is the last one, she said, her voice barely a whisper. It is an account I did not know about until a month ago. It is everything. Luke's final safety net. Adam took the paper, his eyes narrowing as he read the numbers. A slush fund, hidden, protected, but not anymore. Thank you, he said quietly. This is what we needed. Megan nodded, her shoulders slumping with exhaustion. What happens now? Adam looked up at her, his voice calm and resolute. Now we end it. For good. The next morning, Adam called Mark and laid out everything they had found. Mark listened in silence, his eyes narrowing as the scope of the betrayal became clear. This is bigger than I thought, Mark said finally. This is not just personal, it is criminal. And it is time to go to the authorities. Adam nodded, his voice steady. Do it. I want Luke exposed for everything he has done. I want every piece of this brought into the light. Mark leaned back in his chair, a grim smile on his face. He is going to panic when he realizes you have this. He will try to run, try to cover his tracks. Adam's jaw tightened. Then let him. It will only make it easier to show the world what he really is. As Mark left to make the first calls to the DA's office, Adam stood at the window, watching the pale winter sunlight filter through the trees. The house felt quiet, too quiet, like the pause before a storm. Megan came to stand beside him, her face drawn and pale. "Are you sure about this?" she asked softly. Adam did not look at her. "I have never been more sure of anything in my life." Outside, the wind picked up, rattling the bare branches against the windows. Adam felt the final pieces of the puzzle click into place. The truth was out there now, beyond him, beyond Megan. It was a force that could not be silenced, could not be buried. And as he watched the cold sky above, Adam knew this was the beginning of the end. Adam woke early the next morning, the house wrapped in a heavy silence. He stepped out onto the porch, the cold air biting at his skin. The world was still and hushed, as if it was holding its breath, waiting for what came next. He stood there for a long moment, his breath rising in white clouds, feeling the weight of everything pressing down on him. He thought about Megan, about the promises she had broken and the secrets she had kept. He thought about Bill, sitting alone in that house, trying to piece together the wreckage of his trust. Inside, Megan moved through the kitchen like a ghost. She had not slept much. Adam could see it in the dark circles under her eyes, in the way her shoulders slumped forward, defeated. "Adam," she said softly, her voice barely carrying over the hum of the refrigerator. Are you sure this is the right way?" He looked at her, his jaw set. "It is the only way, Megan. This is not just about us anymore. It is about everyone he has hurt, everyone he has lied to." Megan looked down, her hands trembling. "I know. I wish it did not have to be like this." Adam's voice was quiet but firm. "You made your choices, Megan. Now we have to live with them." She nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. "I know. I will stand by you, Adam. I swear it." For a moment, Adam watched her, his face unreadable. Then he turned away, his mind already racing ahead. There was no turning back now. Mark had called him late last night, saying the DA was ready to move forward. The final pieces were in place. Adam walked back inside, the cold air clinging to his skin. He looked around the house, at the framed pictures on the walls, the little memories that seemed so bright and real. He had built this life with his own hands, and now he was going to protect it, no matter what it cost. That afternoon, Adam and Mark drove to the DA's office together. The ride was quiet, the city passing by in a blur of gray and steel. Mark's voice cut through the silence. "He will not go down easy," he said. "People like Luke never do." Adam nodded, his face hard. "Then we will make sure he has no choice." They stepped into the tall building, the marble floors cold beneath their feet. The DA, a sharp-eyed woman named Claire, met them in a small conference room. She took the thick folder of evidence from Adam's hands, her expression unreadable as she flipped through the pages. "This is solid," she said finally, her voice low. "Money laundering, wire fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud. Luke's not just a cheater, he is a criminal." Adam leaned forward, his voice calm but deadly. "And I want him to face every single charge. He used my family. He used my daughter's future. I will not let him walk away." Claire met his gaze, her eyes steely. "He will not. But he will fight back. He will try to discredit you, twist the story. Are you ready for that?" Adam's voice was cold and certain. "I am ready. Whatever it takes." For the next hour, they mapped out every detail. How they would move forward. How they would ensure the banks froze Luke's assets. How they would show Bill's retirement funds had been stolen. It was a plan born of necessity and quiet fury, every step designed to bring Luke to his knees. When they left the building, Adam felt the weight of what was coming, but he also felt a sense of calm he had not known in weeks. The battle was about to begin, but he was no longer fighting alone. As they drove home, Mark glanced at him. "He will not see it coming, Adam." Adam's voice was a whisper, but it was strong. "Let him come. I am done hiding." That evening, Megan sat across from Adam at the dining table, her hands wrapped around a cup of tea. The steam rose between them, a fragile wall that did nothing to hide the raw truth in her eyes. "I never thought it would get this far," she said quietly. "When I first met him, it was like he saw me in a way you never did. Adam's jaw tightened, his voice low and steady. Do not talk to me about how he saw you. He saw a weakness he could exploit. He saw a way in, to this family, to Bill's money. Megan flinched, her eyes filling with tears. I know. I see it now. But it does not make the guilt any easier to bear. Adam's voice was quiet, but every word was like a hammer blow. This is not about guilt, Megan. This is about justice. She looked down, her fingers trembling against the cup. What happens now? Adam's eyes were cold. Now we wait. Mark said the DA will file the charges in the morning. Luke will be caught off guard. He will not have time to run. Megan shivered. He will come for us, Adam. He will not just let this go. Adam met her gaze, unflinching. Let him try. I will not let him take anything else from me. From Bella. For a moment, the only sound was the faint ticking of the clock on the wall. Each second a reminder that the world was moving forward, unstoppable. Megan swallowed hard, her voice a bare whisper. I will help you however I can. Adam nodded, his expression hard. Then be ready, Megan. Because when this ends, there will be nothing left of the lies we lived. The next morning, Adam woke to the low hum of his phone vibrating on the nightstand. He grabbed it, his eyes still heavy with sleep, but the message staring back at him jolted him awake. A single line from an unknown number. I know what you are planning. Stop now or face the consequences. Adam's breath caught in his throat, the words cold and threatening. He read them again, his mind racing. He knew it had to be Luke. There was no one else who would dare. He stood, his muscles tense as he paced the room. Megan stirred, her eyes fluttering open. What is it? She whispered, her voice hoarse with fear. Adam showed her the message, his jaw tight. He knows, Megan. He is trying to scare us. She sat up, her hands clutching the blanket. He will not stop, Adam. You know that. He will come for you. He will come for Bella. Adam's voice was calm, but his eyes burned with fury. Let him come. I am done being afraid. He dressed quickly, the tension in his shoulders like iron bands. As he moved through the house, he paused by Bella's room, listening to her soft breathing. He would not let Luke's threats touch her. She was the one thing worth fighting for above everything else. Downstairs, he called Mark, his voice low and steady. He is on to us, Mark. He sent me a message, he knows. Mark's voice was calm, but there was an edge to it. Let him know. It does not change what we are doing. In fact, it only proves how close we are. Adam's mouth curved in a grim smile. Then let us make sure we are ready. As he ended the call, Adam felt the weight of the threat settle over him, but there was no fear in it anymore. There was only resolve. Luke could try to scare him. He could try to break him. But Adam had already decided. There would be no turning back. That evening, the house was heavy with tension. Adam sat at the kitchen table, the evidence laid out before him like a map of betrayal. Every page, every number was another thread leading back to Luke, a web of lies that was about to be torn apart. Megan sat across from him, her eyes red, her hands fidgeting with a pen. I keep thinking about Bella, she said softly. About what she will think of me when this is all over. Adam looked at her, his face unreadable. She will know the truth, and she will know you helped stop it, even if it was too late to undo the past. Megan swallowed hard, her voice breaking. I want her to be proud of me, Adam. Even after everything. She will be, Adam said quietly. If you are honest now. The front door creaked open, and Mark stepped in, his coat still dusted with snow. He set down his briefcase with a soft thud, his eyes scanning the room. Everything is in place, he said, his voice calm and controlled. The DA's office is moving forward. The warrants will be served in the morning. Adam nodded, the tension in his shoulders easing slightly. Then it is done. Mark's eyes met his. Not quite. Luke will not go quietly. He will try to spin this, to turn it back on you. You need to be ready. Adam's jaw tightened. I am ready. They sat there in the cold light of the kitchen, 3 people bound by betrayal, each one carrying their own scars. For a long moment, The only sound was the faint ticking of the clock, a countdown to the end they had all been waiting for. Megan reached across the table, her fingers brushing Adam's hand. "Thank you," she whispered, "for not giving up." Adam looked at her, his voice quiet but unyielding. "This is not about you anymore, Megan. This is about what is right. And I will not stop until he pays for what he has done." The next morning dawned cold and gray, the world outside shrouded in a quiet stillness. Adam stood in front of the window, watching as the first light of day crept over the horizon. In the silence, he could almost feel the weight of what was coming, a reckoning that had been too long delayed. Megan moved behind him, her voice a soft tremor. "Do you think he knows how close we are?" Adam's eyes stayed fixed on the frost-dusted grass. "He knows. That is why he is desperate." She wrapped her arms around herself, shivering. "What if he comes here? What if he tries to hurt us?" Adam turned to face her, his expression calm but resolute. "Let him try. I have already spoken to the police. They will be ready. And so will I." Megan's eyes searched his face, her voice a bare whisper. "I never wanted this, Adam. I thought I was strong enough to handle it. But I was wrong." Adam reached out, his hand brushing her cheek. "You were not strong enough alone. None of us were. But together, we will end this." For a moment, there was nothing but the quiet crackle of the fireplace and the soft rhythm of their breathing. Then Megan nodded, her shoulders straightening. "I will stand with you, Adam. No more secrets." He gave her a small, tired smile. "No more secrets." As they stood there, side by side, Adam felt a flicker of something he had thought he had lost: hope. He knew the storm was coming, but he also knew that he was ready to face it. The day had begun, and by nightfall, everything would be different. That afternoon, the doorbell rang, sharp, insistent, slicing through the quiet of the house like a blade. Adam exchanged a look with Megan, her face paling as she clutched the edge of the counter. He moved to the door, his steps calm, measured, his heart a drumbeat of fury and focus. He opened the door to find Luke standing there, his smile oily and false. He wore a charcoal coat that matched his calculating eyes, and he stepped forward with the casual arrogance of a man who thought he owned the world. "Adam," he said smoothly, his voice a silky drawl. "Mind if I come in?" Adam stepped forward, his frame blocking the doorway. "You are not welcome here, Luke." Luke's grin widened, but his eyes glittered with menace. "Come on, man. Let us not make this harder than it has to be. We both know this is just a misunderstanding, a temporary situation." Adam's voice was low, steady, each word deliberate. "You have stolen from this family. You have lied to every person who ever trusted you. There is no misunderstanding here, Luke. Only the truth." Luke's smile faltered, the first crack in his mask. "You think you can stop me?" he said, his voice cold now. "You think you can take me down?" Adam's eyes never wavered. "I know I can. And I will." For a moment, they stood there, the air thick with the weight of everything unspoken. Then Luke leaned closer, his voice dropping to a low hiss. "You are playing with fire, Adam, and you are going to get burned." Adam's lips curved in a humorless smile. "Let me worry about that." Without another word, he shut the door in Luke's face, the click of the latch loud in the silent house. He turned back to Megan, her eyes wide and frightened. "What did he say?" she asked, her voice shaking. Adam drew a slow breath, his expression calm. "He said exactly what I expected him to. And he is right about one thing. The fire is coming." That evening, Adam sat with Bella in the small corner of the living room that had always been hers, her little kingdom of dolls and crayons, a bright refuge in a world that had grown so dark. She looked up at him with those big, trusting eyes. "Daddy, are you sad?" she asked, her voice soft and serious. Adam smiled gently, brushing a strand of hair from her forehead. "No, baby, not sad. Just thinking." Bella's brow furrowed. "About Mommy and that man?" Adam hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Yes, about them. But more about you. About how to keep you safe." Bella tilted her head, her small hands fiddling with the edge of her blanket. "Mommy cries a lot," she said softly. "I hear her at night." Adam's heart ached, but he kept his voice calm. "I know, sweetheart. Mommy made some mistakes, but she loves you, and I love you more than anything in this world." She nodded, her little face solemn. "I know, Daddy. I love you too." He pulled her close, pressing a kiss to the top of her head. "You are so strong, Bella. Stronger than you know." She looked up at him, her eyes bright. "Will it be okay, Daddy? Will it be okay again?" Adam held her gaze, his voice steady. "Yes, baby. It will. I promise you that." As she leaned against him, Adam felt a fierce protectiveness flood his chest. She was his reason, his purpose. Luke could threaten, could lie, could try to tear them apart, but he would never touch the bond Adam had with his daughter. And in that quiet moment, Adam found a new kind of strength, one born not of anger, but of love. Night fell like a shroud, the house wrapped in a heavy silence that pressed against the walls. Adam moved through the rooms, every light on, every shadow banished. He checked the locks twice, 3 times, his mind ticking over every detail of what was to come. Megan watched him from the doorway, her eyes dark and haunted. "Adam," she said softly, "I want to help. I know I cannot take back what I have done, but let me stand with you now." Adam paused, his hand resting on the back of a chair. "This is not about what you want, Megan. This is about what needs to be done." She stepped closer, her voice trembling. "I know, but I need you to know, I am not running anymore. I will face this with you." For a moment, Adam just looked at her, the memories of everything they had shared and lost flickering between them. Then he nodded once, a quiet, final acceptance. "Then be ready." The rest of the evening was a blur of quiet preparation. Adam and Mark talked late into the night, going over every piece of evidence one last time. Megan sat with them, her eyes hollow but resolute. She spoke little, but when she did, her words were clear, her confessions complete. By midnight, the house was silent, every corner lit by the glow of lamps and the soft flicker of the fireplace. Adam stood by the window, watching the winter wind whip through the trees outside. Tomorrow it would all come crashing down. Luke would try to fight, but it would not matter. Adam had the truth. He had the law, and he had something Luke could never steal: his family, his resolve, his unwavering belief that right would win in the end. As the clock struck midnight, Adam felt a calm settle over him. The reckoning was at hand, and he was ready. Adam barely slept that night. He lay awake in the darkness, the soft tick of the clock on the wall the only sound. His mind was a whirl of details. Luke's threats, the DA's plans, every moment of the past weeks echoing in his head like a storm. He rose before dawn, slipping from the bed as Megan slept. The house was silent, the cold air biting at his skin as he walked down the hall. He paused outside Bella's room, listening to her gentle breathing. The sight of her small form beneath the blankets filled him with a quiet strength that banished the last of his doubts. In the kitchen, he made a pot of coffee, the scent warm and comforting in the quiet gloom. He stood at the counter, hands wrapped around the mug, his reflection in the window a silhouette of resolve. Today was the day. Today, Luke's lies would be dragged into the light. Megan appeared in the doorway, her face pale, her eyes shadowed with worry. She crossed the room slowly, her bare feet whispering across the cold tile. "Adam," she said, her voice soft. "Do you think he will come here today?" Adam met her gaze, his voice low but steady. "He might. But if he does, he will find I am not the same man he thought he could break." She nodded, swallowing hard. "I am scared, Adam. Not for me. For Bella." Adam's jaw tightened. "I will never let him touch her, Megan. I swear it." They stood together in the half-light, the quiet house around them a fortress of resolve. Outside, the first pale light of dawn crept over the horizon, painting the world in shades of silver and blue. Adam set down his coffee cup, his hand steady. "It is time," he said quietly. "Time to end this." By noon, the news broke. Mark called from the DA's office, his voice tight with anticipation. It is done, Adam. The charges have been filed. By tonight, every bank will have frozen Luke's accounts. He will not be able to move a penny without the law at his heels. Adam closed his eyes, a shiver of relief coursing through him. Thank you, Mark, for everything. Mark's voice was calm. Do not thank me yet. He will come at you now. He will come hard. Be ready. Adam ended the call and turned to Megan, who had been listening from the doorway. Her face was pale, but there was a spark of something in her eyes. Maybe hope. Maybe just the last remnants of her strength. What happens now? She asked. Adam took a breath. Now we wait. And when he comes, we stand together. They spent the afternoon preparing. Adam went through every lock on the doors and windows, checking them twice. He called the police station, confirming that patrols would be passing by every hour. He felt the weight of it all, but there was no fear in him anymore. Only the cold, quiet certainty of a man who had nothing left to lose. As dusk fell, Megan cooked a simple dinner, the smells of roasted vegetables and garlic filling the air. They ate in silence, Bella's chatter the only brightness in the room. Adam watched his daughter, the way she laughed at a silly story Megan told, and he felt something fierce in his chest, a promise that no matter what happened tonight, she would be safe. When the meal was done, he kissed Bella's forehead, tucking her into bed with a soft smile. Good night, princess, he whispered. Sleep tight. She beamed up at him, her eyes wide and innocent. Good night, Daddy. I love you. I love you too, he said, his voice strong. And as he turned out the light, he knew, whatever Luke tried next, he would not let it break them. The phone rang just after midnight, the shrill sound slicing through the silence of the house. Adam's heart leapt into his throat as he grabbed it, his voice calm but cold. This is Adam. There was a pause. Then Luke's voice came, low and smooth. Adam, he said, almost casual. You have made a big mistake. Adam's jaw tightened, his fingers gripping the phone. The only mistake I made was trusting you, he said evenly. But that ends now. Luke's laugh was soft, mocking. You think you can destroy me with a few papers and your righteous anger? I built this game, Adam. I know every move before you even think it. Adam's voice was like steel. The game is over, Luke. The banks have frozen your accounts. The DA has everything. It is done. Silence stretched on the line. Then Luke's voice dropped, venomous. You think you have won? I promise you, this is not over. I will burn down everything you love before I let you take me down. Adam's breath was steady, his pulse calm. You have already lost, Luke. You just do not see it yet. For a moment, Luke said nothing, the silence crackling like static. Then he spoke, his words low and deadly. You have no idea who you are dealing with, Adam. But you will learn. Soon. The line went dead. Adam set the phone down slowly, the weight of the words echoing in the silent room. Megan came up behind him, her face pale. What did he say? She asked, her voice trembling. Adam turned to her, his eyes dark but resolute. He is coming, Megan. But so am I, and I will be ready. They stood together in the quiet house, the night pressing in around them. The final battle had begun. The next day dawned cold and bright, the winter sun casting long shadows across the driveway. Adam watched from the window, his breath fogging the glass as he scanned the street for any sign of Luke. The night's phone call echoed in his mind, but he would not let the threat take root. He would not give Luke the power of his fear. Megan sat at the kitchen table, her hands wrapped around a mug of coffee she barely touched. He will not stop, Adam, she said quietly. He will come for us, and he will not care who gets hurt. Adam turned from the window, his face hard. Let him come. I have already spoken to the police. They know everything now, and they are ready. She nodded slowly, her fingers trembling. I never thought I would be grateful to see his name in a police report. But I am. I am so tired of looking over my shoulder. Adam moved closer, his voice low and even. No more looking over your shoulder. No more fear. Bella's laughter drifted in from the living room, a bright sound that cut through the heaviness in the air. Adam watched his daughter play with her dolls, her innocence a stark contrast to the storm brewing outside. Mark arrived just before noon, his face grim as he set down a thick file on the kitchen counter. The DA's office is moving forward with the arrest warrant. They have enough to hold him without bail, money laundering, fraud, conspiracy. Adam's jaw tightened. Good. He will not talk his way out of this. Mark nodded, his expression resolute. But you need to be careful. He is cornered now. And cornered men are dangerous. Adam's eyes were steady. So am I. The air in the room felt charged, like the moment before a lightning strike. Adam could feel it in his bones. Everything they had worked for, everything they had suffered, was about to come to a head. And he was ready. That evening, the police called. Luke had been spotted near the city's edge, driving the sleek black car he always bragged about. Adam felt a surge of cold satisfaction. He was not hiding anymore. He was running out of options. Mark met Adam in the driveway, the winter wind whipping at their coats. The police have eyes on him, Mark said. But they want you to stay inside. They do not want him getting desperate. Adam's jaw tightened. I am not going to cower in my own home. Mark's gaze was sharp. You are not cowering. You are protecting your daughter. Let the police do what they need to do. Adam nodded slowly, though every muscle in his body wanted to hunt Luke down himself. He turned back to the house, the lights warm and bright inside, his daughter's laughter still drifting on the air. Inside, Megan sat at the table, her eyes searching his face. Is it true? She asked softly. They think they have him cornered? Adam met her gaze, his voice quiet but firm. It is true, but that does not mean it is over yet. She nodded, a flicker of resolve in her eyes. I will be ready, Adam. Whatever happens, I will stand with you. He sat beside her, his hand resting over hers. Then we will face it together. The hours stretched on, every minute heavy with anticipation. Adam checked the doors again, every lock secure. He kept his phone in his pocket, the police on speed dial. But inside, his mind was a battlefield. Memories of laughter and betrayal, love and lies, all tangled into a single, unstoppable purpose. He would not let Luke win. The knock came just after midnight, sharp, deliberate. Adam moved to the door, his steps calm, measured. He could feel Megan's fear behind him, but he did not waver. He opened the door to find Luke standing there, his smile a jagged crack in the cold night air. Adam, he said softly, can we talk? Adam's voice was like iron. There is nothing left to say, Luke. Luke's eyes glittered, his hands buried in his coat pockets. You think you have won? You think your pretty little evidence and your lawyers can stop me? Adam stepped forward, his gaze unflinching. It is already done. The DA is coming for you, Luke. The banks have frozen your accounts. You are finished. For a moment, Luke just looked at him, his lips twitching into something like a smile. We will see about that, he said. And then his hand came out of his pocket, holding a small black pistol. Megan gasped behind Adam, but he did not flinch. He locked eyes with Luke, his voice low and deadly calm. You really think a gun is going to save you now? Luke's grin widened, the cold metal glinting in the porch light. You took everything from me, Adam. Everything. So now I am going to take it back. Adam's voice was steady. You already lost, Luke. And you know it. For a heartbeat, the world seemed to hold its breath. Adam's heart pounding in his ears, Megan's sharp intake of breath behind him. And then, a shout from the darkness. A police officer, his voice firm and commanding. Drop the weapon. Luke turned, just for a second. And that was all it took. The shot rang out, sharp and final. Luke staggered back, the gun slipping from his fingers as he crumpled to the ground. The police surged forward, flashlights cutting through the darkness, voices raised in a flurry of orders and commands. Adam stood frozen, the adrenaline a cold fire in his veins. Megan clung to his arm, her breath ragged with fear. Adam, she whispered, her voice shaking. Is he? Adam looked down at Luke's still form, the police already checking his pulse. "It is over," he said softly, his voice flat with disbelief. "It is finally over." The officers moved quickly, securing the scene, their radios crackling with updates. One of them turned to Adam, his expression calm but urgent. "Sir, are you all right? Is anyone hurt?" Adam shook his head slowly. "No, we are all right." Megan pressed closer, her tears falling silently. "I did not want it to end like this," she whispered. "I never wanted this." Adam looked at her, his voice quiet. "None of us did. But he made his choices." In the distance, the flash of red and blue lights painted the night sky. Adam felt the weight of everything they had been through, the lies and the fear, the cold violence of that final confrontation. And beneath it all, he felt something else, relief. He turned and wrapped his arms around Megan, holding her close. "It is done," he said softly. "He can never hurt us again." As the police moved around them, the quiet of the night returned, broken only by the soft whisper of the wind in the trees. And in that silence, Adam knew, whatever came next, they would face it together. The hours that followed were a blur of flashing lights and quiet voices. Adam sat at the kitchen table, the faint scent of coffee still hanging in the air from the pot he had abandoned earlier. His hands were steady, but his mind felt like it was moving through fog. Across from him, Megan sat with her head in her hands, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. She had not spoken since the police had left, their quiet questions still hanging in the air. Adam reached out, his fingers brushing her arm. "Megan," he said softly, "it is over." She looked up, her eyes red and raw. "I know," she whispered, "but I cannot stop hearing it. The gunshot, the way he looked at you. I thought he would kill you." Adam's voice was calm, but there was a hollow weight in it. "He tried, but he is gone now. He can never touch us again." Megan's lips trembled. "I feel like I should be relieved, but all I feel is empty." Adam nodded slowly, understanding in his eyes. "That is because there is nothing left of him to fear, and nothing left of what he pretended to be." Outside, the first pale light of dawn crept over the world, turning the frost on the grass to a shimmering white blanket. Bella slept upstairs, oblivious to the storm that had finally passed. Adam stood and moved to the window, his hand resting on the cold glass. "We will find a way to move on," he said quietly. "We have to. For Bella. For ourselves." Megan wiped her eyes, her voice a bare whisper. "Do you really believe that, Adam?" He turned to her, his voice quiet but resolute. "I have to. Because if we do not, then all of this was for nothing." And in the quiet of that cold winter morning, they made a silent promise to find a way forward, no matter how long the road. A week later, the house felt like a different place. The police had come and gone, their questions lingering in the air like ghosts. The neighbors whispered in hushed tones, their curiosity tempered by the grim finality of what had happened. Adam spent his days in quiet routine, fixing the things that had been broken, literal and figurative. He replaced the cracked window by the door, patched the scratches in the hallway where Luke had forced his way in. He found a strange comfort in the work, each nail and brushstroke a way to reclaim the space that had once felt like a battlefield. Megan helped him, her movements quiet and precise. She still wore the same haunted look in her eyes, but there was a steadiness to her now, a resolve he had not seen before. One afternoon, as they worked side by side in the living room, Megan spoke softly. "I have been thinking about what comes next." Adam paused, his hand resting on the back of a chair. "What do you mean?" She looked up at him, her gaze steady. "About us. About Bella. About how to start again." Adam nodded slowly, his voice low. "I have been thinking about that too." She reached out, her fingers brushing his hand. "I know I cannot undo what I did, but I want to be here. For her. For you, if you will let me." Adam looked at her, the pain and the love and the lingering scars all tangled in his chest. "It will take time, Megan," he said honestly. "But we will find a way." She nodded, her lips trembling. I want to try. And in that quiet, tentative promise, Adam felt the first real glimmer of hope. Fragile, but real. One evening, as Adam was sorting through a box of old papers in the attic, he found a letter he had never seen before. The envelope was worn, the edges soft with age, and his name was written on the front in Megan's careful handwriting. He sat on the old wooden floor, the smell of dust and cedar filling the air as he opened it. The words inside were simple, but they cut deep. Adam, if you are reading this, it means everything has fallen apart. I am sorry. Sorry for what I did, for what I let happen. I was weak, and I let my fear become something I could not control. But I need you to know, it was never about you. It was never because you were not enough. It was because I was not enough for myself. I do not expect you to forgive me. I do not know if I will ever forgive myself. But I want you to know, I always loved you, even when I did not know how to show it. Please take care of Bella. She deserves a world better than the one I tried to build. Megan Adams sat there for a long time, the letter trembling in his hands. He read it again, the words sinking into the quiet spaces of his heart. He felt the weight of her guilt, her love, her brokenness, and he felt his own. He folded the letter carefully and set it aside. There was no going back, no erasing what had been done. But there was a path forward, however narrow and difficult it might be. He rose, the letter clutched in his hand like a promise, to himself, to Bella, to whatever future might come next. The next morning, Adam woke early, the winter sun streaming through the window in soft gold light. He lay there for a moment, the quiet of the house a balm to his restless mind. He thought of everything they had been through, the lies and the heartbreak, the fear and the fury. He thought of Bella, her laughter a bright thread that had carried him through even the darkest nights. And he thought of Megan, of the letter and the quiet promise she had made to try and rebuild. He rose and made his way downstairs, the house warm and bright in the early light. Megan sat at the kitchen table, her hair still damp from the shower, her hands wrapped around a steaming mug of tea. She looked up at him, her eyes tired but clear. "Morning," she said softly. "Morning," he replied, his voice gentle. They sat together in the quiet, the clink of the spoon in her mug the only sound. And slowly, carefully, they began to talk, not about the past, but about the future. About Bella, about the repairs the house still needed, about the small, hopeful steps that might lead them forward. Outside, the world was waking up, the frost on the grass catching the light like tiny diamonds. And inside, Adam felt something stirring in his chest, a flicker of light in the darkness, a reminder that even after the storm, there was always the promise of dawn. He reached across the table, his hand closing over Megan's. "We will be all right," he said quietly. She met his gaze, her eyes shining. "I believe you." And in that quiet moment, with the sun rising outside and Bella's soft laughter drifting down the stairs, Adam knew they were going to find their way, one step at a time. The morning air felt sharper than usual as Adam stepped out onto the porch. The frost had begun to melt, but the air still carried a bite. He closed his eyes, drawing in a slow breath. It was the day he would face the final meeting with the DA, closure at last. Megan watched from the window, her hands pressed together as though in silent prayer. She did not say a word as he grabbed his coat, only nodded, her eyes steady. At the DA's office, Adam sat across from Claire, the determined prosecutor who had become his reluctant ally. She shuffled through the thick file in front of her, every page a testament to Luke's lies and manipulations. "Luke's assets are officially seized," she said, her tone crisp. "The banks are cooperating fully. Bill's retirement fund will be restored, and your home is safe. But I have to warn you, some of Luke's friends in the city council are already whispering. There will be questions, Adam, not about your role, but about the shadow he cast over all of you." Adam's voice was calm, resolute. "Let them whisper. I have nothing to hide." Claire looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "Good. Because from here on out, this is about more than Luke. It is about every person who thought they could get away with it. Adam stood, extending his hand across the table. Thank you, Claire, for everything. She shook it firmly, her expression fierce. Thank me when it is over. But you have already done more than most would dare. As he left the office, Adam felt a weight lift from his shoulders. It was not victory. There was still so much to face, but it was the first real step forward. And for the first time in weeks, he let himself breathe. Back home, Megan was waiting for him in the kitchen, her hands fidgeting with the hem of her sweater. Bella was upstairs, napping in the sunlit warmth of her room. The house felt quiet, like the calm after a storm. Megan's voice was soft, hesitant. How did it go? She asked. Adam sat across from her, the exhaustion etched deep in his features. It went well. The DA is confident. Luke's allies are already backing away. It is over for him. She nodded, but her eyes stayed locked on his. And for us? She asked, her voice trembling. Is it really over for us? Adam's jaw tightened. He reached out, his hand closing over hers. We will never be what we were, he said carefully. But that does not mean we cannot find something better. Something real. Tears welled in her eyes, but she blinked them back, her voice a whisper. I want that, Adam. More than anything. For a long moment, they sat in silence, the air between them heavy with all that had been lost and all that still might be found. Adam could see the regret in her face, the quiet strength that had grown there too. And he knew that rebuilding would take more than words. It would take time, patience, and the unwavering commitment to never go back to the lies that had nearly destroyed them. He rose and kissed her forehead gently. We will find a way, he murmured. For Bella. For us. And in her eyes, he saw that flicker of hope, the same one he had carried in his chest all along. The next morning dawned bright and clear, the winter sky a pale blue promise overhead. Adam woke early, the house quiet and warm around him. He moved through the room slowly, pausing at Bella's door to watch her sleep, her small face peaceful in the soft glow of the morning light. Downstairs, Megan was already in the kitchen, her hair pulled back, her movements sure and steady as she made breakfast. She turned as he entered, a smile touching her lips. Good morning, she said softly. Good morning, he replied, his voice gentle. They sat together at the table, the soft clink of silverware and the warmth of coffee filling the air. For the first time in what felt like forever, there was no tension, no unsaid words hanging between them. Only the simple comfort of shared space. Bella joined them, her laughter bright and clear as she chattered about her dreams, her little hands waving in the air. Adam watched her, his heart full. She was the reason he had fought so hard, the reason he had not let the darkness consume him. After breakfast, they bundled up and went for a walk in the crisp morning air. Bella ran ahead, her scarf trailing behind her like a bright flag of joy. Adam and Megan walked side by side, their steps slow and quiet. I do not know what comes next, Megan said softly, her breath a soft cloud in the cold. But I want to face it with you. Adam looked at her, his eyes warm. One day at a time, he said. That is all any of us can do. And as they walked through the quiet morning, the frost sparkling like diamonds around them, Adam felt something in his chest that he had almost forgotten. Peace. Hard won, fragile, but real. It was the start of something new, and he was ready to see where it would lead. That afternoon, Adam and Megan sat with Bill in his quiet study, the soft ticking of the grandfather clock filling the room with its measured rhythm. Bill's eyes, once bright and trusting, had dulled under the weight of betrayal. Yet as Adam laid out the final pieces of evidence, bank statements, legal notices, the final report from the DA, there was a flicker of fire in his gaze. Bill's voice was quiet but steady. So it is really over, he said, his hands folded tightly on the polished desk. He will never be able to touch this family again. Adam nodded, his expression resolute. It is over. The banks have frozen every last cent he stole. And the DA is moving forward with charges that will make sure he never sees the light of day outside of prison walls. Megan sat with her hands in her lap, her shoulders tense. I know I do not deserve it, Bill, she said softly. But I want you to know, I am done with the lies. I will do whatever it takes to make it right. For a moment, the room was silent, the only sound the quiet creak of the old leather chair as Bill leaned back. He looked at Megan, his gaze unreadable. You have hurt this family, Megan, he said finally, his voice steady. But you also helped bring him down. That counts for something. Megan's eyes filled with tears, but she nodded, her voice a bare whisper. Thank you. Bill turned to Adam, his face lined with determination. And you, Adam, I do not know how to repay you. You have always been more like a son to me than just a husband to my daughter. Adam shook his head slowly. This is not about repayment, Bill. It is about protecting what matters. Bill's lips curved into a faint smile. Then let us start there. Let us rebuild this family. Stronger, wiser. And in that quiet room, surrounded by the weight of old books and older memories, they found the first fragile threads of healing. That evening, the house felt warm in a way it had not in months. The crackle of the fireplace filled the air, the golden light casting gentle shadows across the walls. Bella sat on the floor, her crayons scattered around her as she drew pictures of bright sunrises and smiling faces. Megan watched her daughter with quiet wonder, her eyes soft, her posture tense with the weight of everything she had nearly lost. She looked at Adam, who sat across from her on the couch, his gaze calm, the lines of worry easing from his face. I have been thinking, she said, her voice hesitant, about what comes next. Adam looked up, his eyes meeting hers with a quiet strength. We have time to figure it out, he said gently. No decisions today, just this moment. She nodded, her fingers tracing the seam of the couch cushion. I know, but I want to be honest with you. Really honest. No more secrets. Adam's expression softened. Then start now, he said simply. She took a breath, her voice trembling. I was so afraid, Adam. Afraid of losing everything. Afraid of not being enough. I let that fear turn into something ugly. I know I hurt you, and I know it will take time to earn back your trust. But I want to try. I want to prove to you, and to myself, that I can be better. Adam's gaze held hers, steady and unwavering. It will take time, Megan, he said quietly. But trust can be rebuilt, if we are both willing to fight for it. She swallowed hard, her eyes shining. I am. And as Bella crawled into her lap, chattering about her drawings, Megan wrapped her arms around her daughter and looked across at Adam. The air between them was fragile, but there was hope in it, like the soft glow of the firelight, warm and real. The next morning dawned crisp and bright, the frost on the grass sparkling like diamonds. Adam woke early, his mind clear in a way it had not been for weeks. The house was still, the soft murmur of Megan's breathing from the next room the only sound. He dressed quietly and stepped out onto the porch, the cold air bracing against his skin. He looked out across the yard, the pale winter light painting the world in shades of silver and blue. Megan joined him a few minutes later, a blanket wrapped around her shoulders, her breath steaming in the cold. She stood beside him, her eyes scanning the horizon. It is beautiful, she said softly. Adam nodded. It is, even after everything. She turned to him, her expression earnest. Adam, thank you for not giving up on us, even when I gave up on myself. He looked at her, his voice low but sure. I did not do this for us, Megan. I did it for Bella, for her future. But now I am ready to see if we can find something worth holding on to. She reached out, her hand slipping into his. Then let us try, she whispered. And in that quiet morning light, Adam felt the first real spark of peace settle in his chest. It was not the end of their journey, far from it, but it was a beginning, a chance to rebuild, not from the ruins of betrayal, but from the quiet strength they had found in each other and in themselves. As they stood there, side by side, The wind whispered through the bare trees, and Adam knew that whatever came next, they would face it together. The final days of winter settled over the town, a hush of frost and soft gray skies. Inside the house, Adam moved with a quiet purpose. Every door he fixed, every window he checked, was not just about repairing the damage. It was about building something stronger, something that would last. Megan worked alongside him, her laughter slowly returning in soft bursts as she read to Bella by the fire. Bella's bright eyes shone with a child's easy forgiveness, her giggles echoing through the quiet halls and reminding them both of what was most important. One evening, as they sat together at the kitchen table, Adam reached for Megan's hand. "I do not know what tomorrow holds," he said softly, his eyes steady on hers. "But I do know that I am done letting the past control me." Megan nodded, her fingers trembling against his. "Me too," she whispered. "No more shadows. No more fear." For a long moment, they sat in silence, the warmth of the fire wrapping around them. Outside, snow began to fall, gentle and unhurried. It was a small thing, a quiet promise from the world that even in the coldest winter, new life waited to bloom. Adam looked out the window, his breath fogging the glass. "We have both lost so much," he said quietly. "But we have also learned something important, something I think we both needed to understand." Megan's voice was barely a whisper. "What is that?" He turned to her, his voice deep and sure. "That healing does not come from forgetting the past. It comes from facing it, owning it, and choosing to build something better." She closed her eyes, tears slipping down her cheeks. "I want to build it with you, Adam. I want to make something beautiful from everything we survived." And in that fragile, perfect moment, he leaned across the table and pressed his forehead to hers. "Then let us start today," he murmured. "One day at a time." A week later, the three of them took a walk together along the quiet path behind their home, the snow crunching under their boots. Bella ran ahead, her scarf trailing in the breeze, her laughter a bright note in the winter air. Adam and Megan walked side by side, their steps measured, their shoulders brushing with every stride. There was no rush in them now, no frantic need to prove or to fix, just the slow, steady work of healing. As they watched Bella chase the pale winter light, Megan turned to Adam, her voice thoughtful. "Do you ever think about how far we have come?" she asked. "How close we came to losing everything?" Adam's gaze was soft, his voice calm. "Every day, and I think about what that taught me." She looked at him, her eyes searching. "What did it teach you?" Adam's voice was quiet but unbreakable. "That the hardest truths are the ones we must face alone. But the deepest healing comes when we find the courage to let someone stand beside us in that darkness. No one can save you from yourself, but they can walk with you while you save yourself." Megan's breath caught, her lips trembling. "That is the most beautiful thing I have ever heard," she said. And in that quiet moment, Adam felt something in his chest settle, like the last puzzle piece falling into place. As the sun dipped behind the trees, casting long golden shadows across the snow, he turned to her and asked a single, raw question, a question that reached beyond them, to everyone who had ever faced betrayal, heartbreak, or the quiet weight of their own mistakes. "Do you believe we are worthy of second chances?" That is the question I leave for you, dear reader. Tell me, where are you watching from? Let me know in the comments below, and if you felt even a spark of hope in this story, please do like and subscribe. It is the fuel that keeps these tales alive. And remember, we will meet again in another thrilling, epic revenge story. Until then, take care of yourselves. The final lesson, in the end, it is not the betrayal that defines you. It is how you choose to rise from it. The strength to heal does not come from hiding your pain. It comes from standing in it, refusing to let it break you. And when you reach out to the ones who matter most, you learn that even the deepest wounds can become the foundation of something stronger, something truer. That is the real victory, one no one can ever steal.